Hey everyone, and welcome to the hunt for moose at Isle Royale. Now I've gone on many outdoor trips, but I haven't been this excited for a single trip in a long time. Isle Royale is just beautiful, and it's one of the most secluded national parks. Its location in the middle of Lake Superior cuts it off from the rest of the world. You can only really get there by boat or plane. This leaves much of its wilderness untouched, a hidden gem as some would say. And this was to be my sister and I's first time at the island. My parents had actually been there previously twice in their life, but they haven't been there in over 15 years. And my dad hasn't seen a moose either time that they've gone. Because of this, they were just as excited as I to explore the park's beauty again. The number of moose from the last time they had been there has gone from 500 to about 2,000 in today. This is the best chance to see one in the wild. And so our journey began on the first day. We arrived at the docks of Hawkin, Michigan, where a seaplane would take us from the mainland to the island. Inclement weather at Isle Royale actually delayed our departure, but nothing could dampen our moods. Our excitement was too high. The owner's golden retriever Gabby certainly kept any bad feelings away too. Eventually, the plane turned from the island, we loaded up and were off. The seaplane's floats lifted off the water, and we soared through the sky. After a while, the island came into view, and we marveled in the vast wilderness before us that we were about to take on by foot. After landing, we got debriefed and snapped a picture in front of the sign. The same sign my parents had been at 15 years prior, now adorned with moose shed, reminding us of our main goal during this trip. We were here, and the moose was almost in our sights. And with everything in order, we took our first steps in the trails of Isle Royale. Hiking the rocky shoreline for 6 miles, we ended at our first shelter at Daisy Farm and enjoyed a fulfilling meal. No moose was seen on that first day, but we did see some beavers marking their territory around camp. Next morning, we got up, packed our gear, ate breakfast, and set off on the trail once again. We saw wildlife during the day and some incredible views, but still no moose, though the trail did yield signs of their presence. Eventually we landed to rest at my father's favorite campsite, Mosky Basin. As the sun dipped on another beautiful day, thoughts of our trip's longest hike tomorrow filled our minds as we drifted off, but that meant more chances to see the animal that has eluded us thus far. We woke to a pleasant sound, but an unpleasant realization. Rain poured down from the skies, dripping off our shelter and locking us in the Adirondack. Eventually we geared up and trudged the wet landscape. Our boots, our gear, ourselves just soaked. We crossed through flowing streams, wet vegetation all over the trail soaking our clothes. Water just everywhere. The best we could do was put one foot in front of the other until we reached our destination. The rain continued into the next day with lighter rain and some mist as we hiked. We hoped to see a moose on the higher ridge because we've heard stories from other campers that that's where they had been seeing them. But with each sloshing step, our hopes diminished. Other creatures came out to enjoy the water, but unlike them, we were weighed down by the wetness, uncomfortable. Eventually, we completed our loop and returned back to Daisy Farm, where we made camp on the first night. Again, the curious beavers came around, but only the elusive moose lingered on our minds. And then, the final day of hiking was upon us. We began early in the morning, trekking back up to the ridge to Mount Ojibwe, where a massive watchtower stood proudly at the top. The mist continued to hang over us, and the wetness still weighed on our tired feet and minds. And then my dad, the one who would put more miles on the island than anyone in our group, on our last full day at Isle Royale, suddenly shouts from the back of our hiking group. The one word each of us wanted to say to the others: moose. And we whipped around, and sure enough, the silhouette of a young bull appeared between the trees, watching us curiously. We stared in awe and admiration at the creature we had hiked so many miles to see. And after it had eaten its vegetation, it disappeared back into the mist from which it came. Rejuvenated by finally achieving our goal, our spirits were raised and we hiked with a new energy. Though the trail was still wet, we couldn't care less. We saw a moose and we were at Isle Royale. We actually ended up seeing 2 more moose that day. One disappeared into the trees before I could get a shot, and the other, huge cow, appeared on the trail in front of my sister. Out of safety, we stayed back without getting a good angle. And after a long, successful day, we finally reached Rock Harbor. And our last day finished with a short hike to the far eastern point of the island. As the day and our trip came to an end, we felt thankful for the wildlife we had witnessed on this incredible trip. The seaplane touched down the next morning to take us home. We each took one last look at the island in the distance as we flew away, our souls filled, our minds cleared by the beauty of Isle Royale's wilderness. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the story of our 6-day, 5-night trip through Isle Royale. It's really one of the coolest national parks, and I hope you guys get to see the beauty of it someday too. I just want to say that all the shots and videos I've taken during the trip were taken from trails or designated campsites. Our family loves Isle Royale, as you can see by the frame behind me. And we want to keep it wild and beautiful for many people to come. So stay on the trails whenever possible and make sure you pack out what you bring. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.